So I think the Platinum is absolutely worth it. I think it's so worth it, in fact, that people should probably cancel the Amex Gold, Amex Green, probably cancel most of their annual fee cards if you have a Hilton Summer Pass, all these Amex cards that have annual fees, and just get the Platinum and just have that be your one card. But okay, cool. So what's the deal here? What do we got going?
All right, so pretty much, I think Amex cards kind of suck, and I'm hoping that you can change my mind. I know you're kind of the Amex expert in the credit card world, and you have all three cards, right? Or at least the green, the gold, and platinum.
Yeah, I've had the green, I've had the gold a couple of times, I've had the platinum a few times. One on the vanilla, one on the Schwab, and then I'm probably gonna get it back soon. I'm not sure though.
Yeah. Okay, so I mean, you probably know, but my main problem, and a lot of main problems with Amex, is that they're essentially raising the annual fees every year and giving us these coupon books and stripping some of the benefits. So I don't know. I just don't like the way Amex is headed. And let's start off by talking about the gold card. Where's my gold card at? I have it right here. I've had this for about 4 or 5 months now, and I do think it's the best of American Express's cards, but it's still not perfect. So what? First of all, what were your thoughts when you first saw that they raised the annual fee to $250 to $325? What were you thinking?
So, well, it's funny. It's actually a very vivid memory of mine because I will say, and to be clear, I don't know if I'm honestly best for this, Daniel, because I've actually been transitioning away from Amex pretty heavily, but I have some other thoughts on the back end of it. But it's a pretty vivid memory because I actually live streamed it literally. It was like midnight. It's like we started seeing changes. We were like, oh, wait a second, there's a white gold option out of nowhere. Like we're able to request it. And I remember it was like midnight or 1 a.m. I said, screw it, I'm going live. And we were live. I said, I'm streaming until we get those changes. And I think it was on 4 a.m. or 3:30 or 4 a.m. is when the changes finally hit. And we were like, yikes, we were like, a Dunkin' credit, man, this is what we were worried about. We didn't, like, people joke that we would have a McDonald's credit. I don't think we did that much better with the Dunkin' credit, but but largely when I saw the credits, I was like, okay, so what do we do? What's the real deal here? We're spending $75 more, so from 250 to 325, but what is one credit that we're getting that actually could offset that right off the bat? And that was the Resi credit. I actually really love the Resi credit. I hate, a lot of people don't live near one. I happen to have a bunch in my city. And I've been able to take advantage of it many times. In fact, actually this Valentine's Day, I'm going to take advantage of my $50 Resi credit. We're going to go somewhere to go travel to, literally just to this Resi restaurant, just so we can have a good night out and get subsidized by the $50 Resi credit. So if you could use that twice a year, that's $100. That's already offsetting the $75 increase. And thus, I would say it's actually possibly a more powerful card than it was prior. But I also do agree that all the other credits lead you to overspending and eating less healthy than you did prior. So I don't love it for that reason too.
Yeah, I was okay with the increase just because at that point I didn't even have the card, and then the sign-up bonus jumped from like 80 to I got 100,000 points plus like I think $100 or $150 statement credit for dining.
Wow.
So I was okay with it, but I think I do prefer it the way it was before, just because before you could pretty much hold it in your wallet for essentially no effective annual fee or close to no annual fee. You wouldn't have to spend much on dining and groceries to offset it. But now, I think for a lot of people, there's almost $100 of dead annual fee or just annual fee that you're paying straight out for those people that can't or normally don't use the Resi credit. So now it's either slowly losing value if you're keeping it in your wallet, or you have to at least spend a lot more.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And I guess one of the main things to always consider too is like, sure, a lot of people mention it's like one of the best earners, like, oh, Forex back dining, Forex back groceries. But I think a lot of people forget about the opportunity cost of, using, like, I guess the typical example of a Saver one, or I guess Saver nowadays, since they changed it, or even like how I've been doing recently, Chase Freedom Unlimited, or Ink Unlimited, just 1.5 on everything. I don't even have to think about it. And my Chase points are super valuable. I use my Chase points all the time. My Amex points really never get used very often whatsoever. So, that's also a neg against the Amex Gold. So I agree with you. Yeah, I agree. It's I would say if you don't have Resi near you, like if you're, I guess there's three people. I guess if you were able to use the credits before and you don't mind that, but you can't use Resi, okay, that sucks. And then like you mentioned, to your point, you have to spend way more just to overcome that 75 or I guess 85 after the 240 in credits in annual fees. And then the people who can use the dining credits and the Resi is no problem as well, which I would say is me. But again, on the back end of do I want to be going getting Bojangles and Culver's and all these different fast food places? Not really anymore. Changing my lifestyle a little bit, and with that, I don't want I don't want to get diabetes from the Amex Gold Card. I'm kidding, but I don't want to have any issues. But no, I agree. Yeah, I agree. It's tough to justify. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I have there's a lot of Resi restaurants around me, but they're not places that I would normally eat at. Like I've lived in Orange County, like Huntington Beach, most of my life, and all the restaurants that were Resi restaurants, I didn't even recognize. There was like some random ones in Newport but I'd have to go out of my way to use it. So like I don't know. I don't count it as lowering the effective annual fee. I didn't even use it last year. It was the very end of the year. I went to like the Broncos Chargers game, and I was down in LA, and I was like, man, all these places, like, they're just expensive. I would have to pay way more than even the credit gave me. I mean, I'm sure I could find something, but I don't know. I just didn't end up using it last year, unfortunately.
So let me put it like this then. So I guess if this video is me convincing you to get an Amex Gold, because right now I'm doing the opposite. I'm saying I don't think it's that great. but if I had to convince you, I would say I would ask you probably first. Are you? I don't know if you feel comfortable talking about it, but do you have a spouse, any significant other at the moment?
No, it's just me.
So I would say Resi credit's very good for a date night out. Maybe all of a sudden you get somebody in the distance. Maybe 3 months from now you have somebody, and you're like, oh, I got a Resi credit. I gotta I gotta use this. I've used that Valentine's Day last year. I'm using it Valentine's this year. And it covered some other when we were out, I forget where. So I would say the Resi is a very romantic credit to use if you do it effectively. I would say. I guess also the fact that I know you're busy. I think you're doing a bunch of stuff. What about all the times that you were to cook food, but you can order your Uber Eats and do a pickup or something like that, or pick up on Grubhub. I've done that. I don't pay extra charges usually. I just go there, pick it up, and then come home, and then we're good. But what about that?
Oh, for the other credits?
Yeah, as a whole.
I mean, I just use Grubhub and then Uber Eats pickup for the $140,
Nice.
and that's okay. Because I'll go to Chipotle maybe once or twice, enough to use both the credits. Right. One of the problems I had with Grubhub is that for me at least, it was probably like 30% more expensive than if I was just go through Uber pickup or just go through the app.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So I guess your idea is like I'm gonna go to these places anyway, but probably more often than the credit would necessarily offset. I guess if you're somebody that's like, okay, it's one a month, yeah, that makes sense. That's who I've been for a couple of years. So if it's one a month, okay, I can justify that. But if you're going anyway, multiple times a month, those 30% add-ons versus just going to the place directly would end up costing you more in the long run. And like, how much are you spending like usually on groceries or dining out? Anything really?
Maybe like $600 total. So I'm not spending a crazy amount. So for someone like me, it probably, yeah,
like a year,
it might make sense. A month.
Wow.
If it's like during summer and I'm buying all my groceries and yeah.
So that changes things. So 600 is a good amount. I mean, theoretically, if you're doing the math on that, if it's 4x on groceries, that's 2,400 points a month. That's actually not too bad. I mean, you consider another maybe $24 a month. If you're somehow cashing that out at 1 cent per point, maybe. That's actually pretty powerful. I mean, do you have any other cards that give you back on groceries and stuff at the moment?
No, I mean, I have the Prime Visa that gives me like 2% back, or like the Discover card's giving me 5% right now, but that's a rotating category thing.
Huh. Interesting.
I have the PayPal debit card actually, which is a great card. People, this is a side conversation, but I just figured out the other day it gives me 5% back at Costco and Walmart and Target, which is pretty crazy. But
It's insane.
Which,
Are those the places you usually go to more often?
yeah, I'll go to Costco. Yeah, I'll go to Costco. I mean, if I don't even necessarily need to just buy groceries at Walmart and Target. Like I got
Mm.
these at Target like right before
Oh
our
well.
video, and that's 5% back right there. But I mean, I could use my, and I am using my PayPal debit card to get 5% back at Costco, which is where most of my grocery spend is going anyways, and I can't use my
Mm.
Amex Gold there because their whole Visa thing.
Interesting. Interesting. Yeah. So I mean, I think on your side, it would end up being like, what's the amount of money I would have to spend for my Amex points to be worth more than the 5% that you're getting on the PayPal debit card. And you know, if you're someone who's not necessarily traveling right now, personally, I actually don't. I really don't think the Amex Gold might make sense for you. I don't know, given
Yeah.
the way how you're using some of them. I think it probably makes sense to just get that cool 100K win like you did. You got the MR points,
Mhm.
and possibly even just downgrade it or something. I would
Yeah,
say downgrade
that's
to the
what I've been
traditional
thinking.
green,
I'm
but
probably in like a year. Maybe if they give me a retention offer, I'll keep it for another year. But I might downgrade to like the green card, which is actually the next card that I want to talk about. Is there current state? Is there does the green card make sense for anyone? I mean, I just it's a disgrace in my opinion. Like, sure, maybe if you want to get the sign up bonus if you haven't had any cards before, but there's essentially no meaningful statement credits on it. I mean, maybe they have clear, but like, is that even in that many airports? Like, I don't know.
I
What
would
are your thoughts
say
on the green card?
I would say there are. I guess there's some other cards that could give you that clear credit, and it's personally, again, I'm telling you, Daniel, this is going to turn into me just hating on the. We're both just going to hate on Amex this video. I can't convince you otherwise because I don't believe it myself. Technically, there's other cards that give you clear. The Amex Green, like if you're a person that really loves clear, and to your point, not necessarily in every airport, at least all the ones I've been to, some of the major airports, they're there, and it is beneficial. Clear actually is pretty powerful. There's been multiple times where the line for TSA pre-check was super long, but Clear was not. There was basically no one else there except for me and my wife. We do a little
Yeah.
scanny thing, and then we walk through and we get through. So it actually has saved a lot of time. In fact, when we were coming home from New Orleans not too long ago for the meetup, I believe the TSA pre-check line was like 25 minutes long because our friend was waiting on that line, and then a clear was like 5 minutes. Like it saved 5x the amount of time just by having clear, and that means a lot when
Okay.
you have lounge access and stuff, which we might talk about later with the Amex Platinum card. But we were able to get to our lounges within 5 minutes instead of 25 minutes. It's a lot more food you can get in, a lot more value. But obviously the clear credit comes on the Platinum card too. So I mean, if like you can't pay more than $150 and you value clear at the 199 level, maybe, but I don't know anybody on earth that would actually value. I don't know anybody on earth that would actually admit that. So personally, no. I mean, some people say the green's very underrated. I don't
Yeah,
really
I was
see it.
surprised.
I
I
don't see
made
it.
because I like to hate on the green card, and there's actually like a small like green card fan base out there. I don't know. I just don't think besides downgrading to like save your pull up your points and use your MX points from other cards, I don't really see any. I
I'm
don't
an
see any
ally.
reason to have the green card. I mean, of course, there's probably. I would assume there's going to be a refresh pretty soon because they just stripped the lounge buddy. And
Yeah, very
what
possible.
do you see the annual fee going to?
It's tough to say because we don't have many cards that push from that 150 that I've seen. That's that 150 kind of level. I mean, the closest I could say is obviously we had the Amex Green in 2019 was $95, moved up to 150, and then the Hilton Business card went from 95 to 195. So like my first thought is like where possibly could that Amex Green go? I mean, I really just it doesn't make sense to me that they would move it up to like that 250 range where the Amex Gold was. Something just doesn't seem right to me that they would do that. I just feel like historically we haven't necessarily seen anything like that. Maybe just the Hilton is the one caveat.
Yeah.
But I've never seen any cards go from like 150 and above. It almost feels like it won't refresh in a way, or they'll take some credit or add a credit. Maybe it will. It probably will. And if it does, you also need a number that's kind of attractive. And the ones that make sense to me would be like 195, but they're not going to raise it by just 45. Like I can't see. I mean, maybe it goes to 195. What would it have to add for it to mean anything? I mean, it would have to give me like a cool, at least 4 lounge passes. You know, like if they're going to be going crazy with Lounge Buddy, you know, give me a total like $200 credit in Delta Sky Clubs or Centurion Lounges. I mean, that'd be cool. Will that happen?
That
No.
would be cool.
You know, I don't think that's going to happen. So no, I agree. The only time the Amex Green made sense to me is when, sorry. The only time the Amex Green ever made sense to me is when I considered that, I said this in a video before, but like when I considered that I was going to live in Airbnb instead of an apartment full time. And I was like, okay, that's 3x back on a $2,000 a month Airbnb payment. That's 72,000 points a year. That easily justifies the Amex Green for me because you can earn 3x on Airbnb, but you also can do that with other, you know, Chase cards itself that give other benefits. So yeah, I don't know. I don't understand the love for it. I'll be candid, but yeah, I think that's also not really worth it as a card. I think for the welcome offer, cool. Yeah, I think sure.
No, I agree. Do you think there's any world where Amex actually lowers the annual fee in the refresh?
No, never. They're not lowering any annual fee of any card ever. And then somebody will be in the comments. Actually, in 1998, they lowered this card's annual fee. But no, I don't think so. No. I don't. It doesn't make sense to me. Like where would they put it other than 195? There's no like you can't put it. There's no 225 is not an attractive number. No one's doing that. 295 is too close to the Amex Gold card. They wouldn't do that. 250 is right where the Amex Gold was. It just doesn't make sense to me. I think if anything, it's 195 and nothing else. Personally, I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like we've been waiting for a refresh on the green and the platinum now for a while, and they just haven't been coming. But I mean, the year's young.
Yeah, it seems like at every 4 or 5 years is when it'll happen. So right now we're on year 5 with the Amex Green, and we're on year 4 with the platinum. So yeah, we're
your green still open?
So I I had the Amex Gold, and this one looks pretty new, and there's a reason for that. I ended up downgrading my Amex Gold maybe 1.5 weeks ago. I didn't even mention it yet, but I downgraded it to the Amex Green, which everyone's saying, didn't you just say it's the worst card ever? Why would you downgrade it to it? Well, right now, a bunch of people talking about it, like Cesar and Sledge and a few others, is that, typically American Express right now, when you go to downgrade, within like a day, they're offering you an upgrade offer. And so that's what happened. I downgraded to the green. A day later, they said, hey, do you want to upgrade back to the gold? If you just spend $1,000 on our card, we'll give you 30,000 membership reward points. So I said, if they're giving me the offer, I'll take the offer. So I did. I ended up going with the card. I ended up, upgrading to it. I ended up using that same card to pay my mortgage via Bilt, and I hit the upgrade bonus right away. I already have my 30K points in the account. And I'm also theorizing that right now there's also another upgrade offer to go from the gold to the platinum via $2,000 in spend, which would be my mortgage payment. We do hit that up again in one transaction. It'll give me an extra 50,000 membership reward points on top of $200 FHR and all these other credits and what have you. So something I'm considering at the moment. But yeah, so I just had the green again for like a day, and now I'm back to my gold. And that's also because I used my Resi credit this year, downgraded to the green, got my gold back, and I just got another Resi credit, which I'm going to use for Valentine's Day. So trying to game Amex for all we can while we can,
Yeah, I've never even heard about that. So you're just pretty much climbing up and down the ladder, just getting more.
As long as they're offering me upgrade offers, I'm taking advantage. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I do the same. I think it just came to me, but the only person that I think the green card would be worth it for is someone in the military, because I think Amex waives military annual fees. But besides that, I can't.
If you're in the military, get a Bonvoy Brilliant, get an Aspire, get 5 platinum. Screw it. Get a Centurion card. Get as many Amex cards as you can, because you're not paying any annual fees for now.
Yeah,
true.
All right, let's talk about the platinum. How do you feel about the Platy? Are you still holding it? I mean, that's the worst of the cards when it comes to statement credits, in my opinion. I mean, I was just looking at it before this, and for some reason I thought you could get it for any hotel, but it has to be like Amex Luxury Hotel Club or in the. So what are your thoughts on the on the Platinum. Can you justify that annual fee?
So, so the Platinum's an interesting one. Yeah, it is the worst offender as far as amount of coupons and credits that you have on the card. It's definitely the worst offender in that way, and it's definitely like one of the harder cards to justify for the average traveler, which I feel like I have been basically every year I had it except for the last year and going forward. So I would say for anybody that is traveling, I mean, I never really wanted to believe it, but everyone said like if you're not traveling, like I think people are still a little crazy with their numbers. Some people say like if you're not traveling at least or twice a month, I hear people say. Some people might get upset with me. That doesn't make sense to me. It made sense to me when I was traveling like literally just twice a year. Like I don't know, with all the credits and with the amount of like what trip was it? I think it was the Vegas trip. I ended up hitting 3 Sky Clubs and a Centurion Lounge between my wife and I. With the airline incidental credit, and I guess technically the savings on my side, but I won't even consider it because you have to bring in, if you bring a player too.
Mm-hmm.
I guess if you do consider all of it, it's $50 for entry for her. I was able to save, a few $100s on that, plus drinks and stuff, which some people value, some people don't. And the atmosphere, just the experience of like getting through the gate and going into the lounge is like super important. So like that one trip alone probably gave me, well, easily like $200 in the airline incidental fee credit that I could use towards the Delta Sky Clubs. One trip alone. So I mean, obviously those credits kind of end as well. So then you have to fall back on, okay, is this valuable for me to go to these lounges? Like alone, like if you're a solo traveler, like if you said you're not with anybody at the moment. So if you're a solo traveler, I mean, Sky Clubs, if you're flying Delta or Centurion Lounges flying an airline, I mean, that's technically, $50 you're saving every time you go in. I mean, I know you couldn't even get in there anyway without a platinum card, but it's a way to view it. And it's also like a lot of people eat food at the airport. A lot of people eat a lot of food at the airports actually, and it's usually very expensive. At the lounges, I get a lot. I get like 10 plates at the Sky Clubs. I get a few plates at the Centurion. How much value would I ascribe to that for me and my wife? Probably like $50 for each, lounge we went to at most. So again, if you do another trip and you get in there and you get 2 lounges worth of food, I would call that like $100 in value, food value that I would be buying anyway if I run into the airport. So yeah, I don't believe you have to fly as much as people say you do for it to be valuable. I think even if you have a platinum card and you break even, but you get to experience all the things that the card has to offer without overpaying, to me, that's worth it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to put a numerical value on how much that lounge access is worth because, yeah, and a lot of people like to debate the premium travel credit cards, but I mean, a lot of it is just what lounge do you have at your home airport? As good as the Venture X is, it's not going to make sense for me to get the Venture X over the Sapphire Reserve if I have a Sapphire Reserve at my home airport.
Yeah, exactly. And especially like this is also a big caveat of just domestic traveling. If you're traveling internationally, I mean, there's no Sky Clubs, right? There's no real Centurion lounges for the most part. So like, no, most of the time you're hitting priority pass lounges when you're abroad. All the people I talk to, like, yeah, they have a Venture X because awesome authorized users, and they get hit priority pass on a lot of different lounges, abroad. So like literally the caveat is, yeah, what's your home airport? I happen to always fly into Atlanta, so Sky Clubs galore for me. And also domestic travel. Like, yeah, I think the platinum domestic travel a couple times a year, which I think is the majority of people, like out and about, just, living life and have a full-time job and stuff. I think that's like average. I think that can make a lot of sense, and also I'm also somebody who really enjoys like some of the finer things in life. And with that, like that $200 FHR credit, yeah, I can go book those hotels direct, but it's a little bit different when you have a card that gives you access to this specific program. You get some money back, and it kind of, in a way, forces you. I know people hate that word force, but I kind of like the idea of like, all right, I got 200 credit. Let's find a place. And all of my favorite stays that I've ever done have all been FHR. It's just, I was saying, okay, end of the year, we got to use it, or somewhere, we're traveling somewhere, let's use it. I've had some amazing experiences with FHR, particular hotels that are partnered with them. The $100 experience credit, like that alone, like think about it. What's one of my favorite ones? I don't know. I always mention the Thompson Savannah, so I'll bring that one up. we were just coming home. I realized it got to the end of the year. I don't know. I wasn't traveling much. I think 2 years ago or whatever it was. And I said, "Oh, I got to use this FHR credit." It was like literally December. I was going to lose it. So I booked this Thompson Savannah on the way home from a trip from Florida, and like that alone was like almost better than the entire trip altogether. It was like literally like 24 hours in the hotel, or maybe 28 because you get a little extra with the late checkout. Rooftop bar and restaurant. We got like 100. I think we ended up getting about a total of $170 in food credits between the breakfast the following morning and $100 credit from that booking in that way. And the hotel was only about $30 more than the credit allowed. So it was like 230, but I got 200 back. So I paid $30, but I got back like $170 in food credits and an amazing stay with my wife. Got room upgrade and everything. So if you just do it like a money basis, like yeah, we were gonna go out to eat, we were gonna get all those things. Like that's not inflated. Even the pricing wasn't necessarily inflated. Got $170, paid 30 for the hotel, so it's $140 that I got back in my pocket that I didn't have to spend at another restaurant because it was at that hotel. That's also factoring into the annual fee of the platinum card by booking that credit. So $200 for the stay, $140 for the food. That's half your annual fee right there. Not even to mention, like, if you don't have another card that gives you Hilton Gold status, oh my God. I mean, by one 5 night stay, like when we go to Puerto Rico, 5 night stay is going to give me easily I would say $150 in food credits alone. And now you're getting up to like a $500 in value back from just gold status and your FHR credit alone. Didn't even factor in lounges and all those other things. So, yeah, I think there's a good way to justify. I think there's a lot of ways to justify the platinum. Is it for everybody still? Do you want, like, are you somebody who doesn't like to use those hotels? You don't want to overpay for things. Do you care about Hilton Gold status? You're a married person. Yeah, these are all things that factor into it, and not being valuable to you.
A lot of people, I've heard the argument made that because it offers that credit for only like their luxury hotels, that cheaper people that normally would book like a cheaper hotel are kind of forced to stay in nicer hotels and then get a better experience while traveling. But I don't know if
You
that
just
helps the statement credit argument.
you just mean, like, did they mean it like a for or against it? You mean like they don't want to be forced to go in a nicer hotel? The
No,
people
they
that book
like they normally wouldn't, but since they have that statement credit and they want to
uh,
use it, then they end up having a good time. If
yeah,
that
I
makes
mean, it's
sense.
tough to say. It's tough to say because I was somebody that booked a lot of Hilton Garden Inns. I didn't really go on the luxury side of things. I didn't really see the point. I remember there was a specific time, even when I'm making YouTube videos, like really early days when I started getting into all this, like 3 years ago. I remember saying to my friends, like, they were asking me, like, did you ask for a room upgrade? And I said, no, what do I care about a room upgrade? It's just, it's just a room. Until I started doing these fancy FHR hotels, and I'm like, oh, okay, I understand now. I understand. Like FHR, one of my favorite stays was I used Amex FHR to book the Waldorf Astoria in DC. And I mean, for those who don't know, when you book FHR, like you are a VIP. When we walked in there, they said, "Oh, here's some champagne to start your festivities." They give you a letter, which is all of these programs. They'll give you a letter that says, "Okay, here's what you can get. Here's how you can. Here's $100 credit. Use it at Peacock Alley Bar that's right behind us. Here's a $60 breakfast credit you can use tomorrow morning. You could build to your room, and a few other things. Late checkout 4 p.m." So, like, if I just want to break it down here, let me break it down. So this is why these luxury hotels are so good. The first one is that you typically could check in as early as 12, sometimes before, depending on when you get there and if they're available. But if you can check in at like 12, but you check out guaranteed via FHR at 4 p.m., that's 28 hours in a hotel, which is different than the check-in at 3 or 4, check out at 11, which is less than 24 hours. So you're getting like an extra probably like 8 to 10 hours of time in that specific hotel that is fancy, just by booking this particular way. Also, the food at some of these FHR hotels are amazing. I mean, literally at that Waldorf DC, it's a Michelin star restaurant that you get. I ended up using $160 for towards, for a Michelin star restaurant. When else would I ever have that experience or even like think to splurge on that? Oh, I wouldn't have. But that's why I really love that credit, because it forced me to stay at that hotel that's typically more overpriced, but the credit offset that a little bit. And the credits that I got back for that hotel stay are offset a little bit. And I'm not even factoring in that we had a $300 room, maybe. It was like a $300, $350 room, something like that. That we got upgraded not once, not twice, but they upgraded us 3 separate times. And I know this because they said like, oh, we did these separate moves of your room to this room that literally $3,000 every single night. Like it's a 3,000 a night room. It was like 1,500 square foot. It was as big as a house, or no, it was like 1,000 square feet. It was as big as a house. And I literally could see the Washington Monument outside of my window for nothing other than just using the platinum card, using the credit, and booking this particular hotel because it forced me to do it. And I wouldn't have experienced it without it. So I kind of come out of a slightly nuanced, like I understand the value prop, I understand overpaying, but I also would have never understood the value of these luxury hotels unless I was forced to do so by some of these premium credit cards. So yeah, I mean, I come from that point of view too. So I think the platinum is absolutely worth it. I think it's so worth it, in fact, that people should probably cancel the Amex Gold, Amex Green, probably cancel most of their annual fee cards if you have a Hilton Summer Pass, all these Amex cards that have annual fees, and just get the platinum and just have that be your one card. And just, you could find a grocery card anywhere, or you can find a dining card anywhere, but you can't find a card like the platinum that can cover, as Cesar would say, your entire travel experience like you can with the platinum. No other card can give you awesome hotel experiences like this with a credit. I get VentureX has the Premier Collection, but and Chase has their Edit. So I think there's a world where that makes sense too. But on top of that, the lounge access for a spouse via your airline incidental fee credits via Delta, Hilton Gold status for all of your Hilton stays. If you really do fancy it, your Uber credits and stuff like that, your 189 Clear credit, your TSA pre-check credit. Like there's so many things that once you get the platinum card, even if you hold it for just a year, you're covered your entire itinerary, your hotel, your flights, your lounge access, and then even Uber rides when you get to the place. You're getting to the airport terminals. It's the only card that does it all. So like personally, that's why I love the platinum. Even though I understand I downgraded mine because the value is pretty expensive too. And I think get it for when you need it. Like if this is a year you're not going to travel, just freaking downgrade it or cancel it. I mean, you don't need it. You really don't. You don't need a platinum card. But if you have like 2 trips coming up within 6 months, maybe get it now. Maybe get it now and use all the credits and have a really enjoyable time. When the time comes next year, you could always downgrade it again. I'm not like a get it forever. I'm like, get it for now, and if it suits you, then keep it. If not, cancel or downgrade. Personally.
Yeah, I mean, I always say I think everyone should have all 3 American Express cards at least once, just for the sign-up bonus. I mean, you can get 150 points, 100,000. You can, yeah, I'm rambling. You can get a crazy amount of points just by signing up for the platinum, and that alone is like what can be like $3,000 worth of travel depending on how you use it. And like how long is it going to take you to get all that value from like a custom cash just by like swiping, earning like your 5% on dining? Those sign-up bonuses are crazy with Amex cards.
Yeah, and even if you do it, like if you want the easiest like approach, like I mentioned that I was doing in maybe a few minutes ago, like if in that scenario you're that person that gets all these cards in the first year and you're like, wow, this is a ton of value. Save that value. Don't just keep the cards open for longer and longer. Those annual fees will cut into your profits, but also at that same time, if a year goes by and you're like, platinum doesn't make sense for me, you could always do what I just did, right? You could always just downgrade back to the green a year later, and they will offer you 50,000 points to upgrade to your platinum card again, should you want it. And that 50,000 can offset your annual fee, technically every year, if you really want to. But it's always there, at least for now.
Yeah. I've seen some videos on it, but I'm not too familiar with like the Amex pop-up jail. Is doing some of those shenanigans going to put you in that, or like piss off Amex if you're canceling your cards? And
some people will tell you yes, but like 100% no. Maybe, but I just think, okay, maybe if this behavior does do this, sure. But before this was ever a popular thing, many years ago, I've been in pop-up jail for like a couple of years, and I've always been very proper. That was before I canceled the platinum card, before I ever downgraded a gold. Like I kept my cards open and I used them, and I got pop-up jailed. My wife, who has only 2 Hilton credit cards and a Sky Miles card, she's pop-up jailed for all the other cards. So like people get pop-up jailed for basically no reason. Some people will tell you, oh, you have to spend a lot and get out of it. I've only heard one person ever say anecdotally that they spend a lot. They spend a lot of money and then they all of a sudden have no pop-up jail. Everyone else, it just doesn't seem to be a real thing. Like personally,
Yeah.
people are gonna get mad at me, but I have not seen. I read everybody's comments. I've not seen anybody consistently say, "Here's what you do this, and you get out of pop-up jail." It just doesn't work. Nobody gets out of pop-up jail. It's pop-up prison, 25 to life, with no possibility of parole. It's not a real. It's just not a thing. All you do is you wait, or you try to find those no lifetime offers, no lifetime language offers, or you try to change things. Like I was pop-up jailed for the personal Sky Miles Gold. I checked the business Sky Miles Gold. I was not pop-up jailed. Sometimes you got to check a business version of a particular card. Or you could also do a thing like Chase Yokoyama did. He was pop-up jailed for his Bonvoy Brilliance via Amex's website, but then he tried on Marriott's website and he was not pop-up jailed and he got the welcome offer. So I think if you're pop-up jailed, don't even do anything. Just get another card, try another card. Amex does this great thing where you can apply. If it says you're, in pop-up jail, like, oh, you're not eligible, you can back out, no harm, no fault. And if there's nothing available, go for other cards. Go for Chase cards. There's plenty of value out there to be had. And even at the worst case scenario, again, you could always do the upgrade, downgrade thing. At least for now until they crack down. You never know.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. You don't have to hold the platinum card for years on end. You can just when you're traveling, hold it for a year, downgrade it if it doesn't make sense, and then upgrade it if you know you're going to travel a lot for the next year.
And some people say it's like, oh, that's like shady, but I'm like, they literally let you do it. Like you go on Amex chat, and you ask them, can I downgrade? They say yes. If it was a problem, they would say no. And also, we have an upgrade offer in my account. I didn't ask to be upgraded. They said, here's $50K to upgrade. I'm just taking their offer for it. So I think if they're giving you money, take it. Take it while you can.
Yeah. One argument that I like for Amex cards, I don't even know if people are arguing this, but for me personally, I could be, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe American Express's purchase protection is way better than Visa's. I think when I read the fine term for Visas, there was pretty much any time that you would have something lost or damaged, it is excluded, where Amex doesn't really have all those stupid terms and conditions.
Yeah. So yeah, from everybody I've spoken to, I guess to parse it out a little bit. So I guess there's only really one I mean, there's different tiers, but if we're talking the charge cards, the credit cards, the Amex Gold, Green, and Platinum, these are like, well, I guess I can't even say that either. They're decent annual fee cards, and they all come with decent protections. Like they have, decent purchase protection. They go at, what is it, like 10,000 on the Gold. It might even be the same on the Platinum. I haven't looked at it in a little bit. Very decent protections. Visa, however, you have two tiers of it. You have your Visa preferred cards, your Visa signature cards, which have less protections and I guess less overall protections and less dollar amounts. Then you have Visa Infinites. These cards have much more robust travel protections and stuff. So it's tough to say. I know some people get into the weeds with insurances on both cards. As far as I can tell, Amex seems to be a little quicker to the process, a little more forgiving, but on average, it seems to me that they're almost basically the same when you go to the highest level, like Amex Platinum and Visa Infinite cards and stuff like that. I think partly is because Chase did revamp a bit of their insurances recently, and I think that's helped a lot. But yeah, all the stories I've heard of like travel protection, car rental protection, or not car rental protection, like if you have like a flat tire, like those types of things, I've heard anecdotally people say they called up and everything was fine. It was all paid for. I also think personally, Chase is probably, maybe it takes a little longer to get things done, maybe not. But I think Chase has a worse back end, meaning that the people behind the scenes making the decisions on whether or not you get a credit back for something insurance related, they're a lot more lenient because I think they know less personally, because I've heard Amex people get denied for certain things. And I think it's because all the reps are like super trained. Chase is like Kiki is an example. She had a flat tire. And as per the terms, it says $50 per quarter towards a flat tire change or a tow. She says it happened a couple of times. She never got a bill for it ever. Like they just never sent a bill. Amex, I know they'll send something right away, and they don't even, I don't even think Amex has a flat tire protection, but in any event, that's my 2 cents.
Yeah. I've seen that even outside of like the insurances, just like watching me apply videos. People with Chase,
Hmm.
like their service reps, will like get information wrong all the time as far as like
Oh yeah.
524 and their different rules. Like most of the time, the YouTubers know more than like the Chase reps. You know?
Yeah. That's true. That is so true. Because when you text the Amex reps, they really like they'll take a second, but they'll be like, "Oh, 1 second," but they'll always have an answer. Like they,
Yeah.
although recently they didn't though, because I was really trying to nail them on upgrading and downgrading when I'm doing all this stuff. I
Mm.
actually wanted to make a video on it. I was like, how well does Amex know their stuff? Because there's always a whole confusion on, okay, if I have this, so my Amex Gold card, the annual fee was going to hit next month in March, but I downgraded it to the green. So that means they have to give me a credit for the annual fee that I paid on the gold that I did not use yet for the last 2 months of the card membership or a month left of card membership. But then they also have to debit me, meaning I have to pay the difference in the annual fee I would have paid with the green card. In this case, I actually got owed. They actually gave me $30 to downgrade back to the green because 150 to 325 annual fee change. But I wanted them to say it in writing because I don't know, I just like to have it in writing, everything. So I said, what will be my credit? What will be the difference here? And so when I asked them that, two separate reps actually said 1 second and they left the chat. That's never happened before. But they left the chat because they did not know how to answer that question until the third guy came and he was like, all right, what's the deal here? And then he came back and he was like, your credit will be this amount, $38, whatever it is. So, but no, you're right. The Amex reps know what they're doing. Chase reps a little less so. They're getting a little more privy, but I just thought that was a funny anecdote. They didn't even know, so they left the chat.
Yeah, the only negative experience I've had with Amex customer service is like when I very first got the card, I accidentally chose the I just chose it. I didn't accidentally do it. I chose the traditional gold in this one instead of the white
Hmm.
gold, and I was applying
Hmm.
during like the limited time thing. And then after I was like, oh, I wanna make a video unboxing the white card. That'd be cool. And then they told
Yeah.
me I had to wait like 14 days before I can get a new version. And then those 14 days passed, and they were like, oh, sorry, it's gone now. But
Really?
uh, yeah, so
Whoa.
that kind of sucked. But I mean,
Huh.
I don't care too much. Speaking of the white gold, it looks exactly like the platinum. Like if you were to put it down on the table and just walk past it, it would be so hard to tell the difference
We could
to
pull it
like the
out.
casual credit card usually. Yeah, I mean, I guess if you like train your eyes to identify Amex white gold cards, but it does
No,
look suspiciously like the platinum.
it's legit. It's so close to it. It's not even funny, especially in certain lighting. It's like not even funny. Oh god, 1 second. Where is my white gold? Who has my white gold? Come on, I have it like right here. Sorry, it's important enough that I feel the need to do this. Yeah, that's my platinum. See, I'm almost getting it mixed up. I'm looking at my platinum. I'm like, is that my white gold? There it is. I got like 50 cards below me right now. All right, so let's do a comparison for the folks at home. Let's cover that. All right, so we got which is which.
All right,
Which is which? Yeah, you can kind of tell. I'm trying to have the worst lighting possible. Yeah, there we go.
yeah, I
Like
mean
that lighting.
you can. Yeah, it's if you were to just throw it down on like a table in a restaurant in like a darker restaurant, I wouldn't be able to tell.
You'll never know. Yeah, you'll absolutely never know. In fact, I've already anecdotally, people in the comments have said it's gotten mistaken for the platinum already.
Yeah.
And just for reference, just for the folks, this is the difference between the two. That's way more. It's way easier to see the difference. The gold just
Yeah.
looks so nice.
Have you ever had the rose gold?
No, no, I don't think so.
Yeah, I've never.
All right,
I've
just
never
for you guys,
considered-
just for your audience, don't tell anybody. Anybody who's watching Daniel Sports Channel, don't let anybody know I have a rose gold. Okay. I'm gonna burn it next week though.
So okay, one of the last questions. As far as redemption, if you go to like the points guy or most YouTubers online will tell you that you're getting 2 cents per point. Are you actually getting that? If I just want to visit Auntie Connie in Michigan, am I actually getting 2 cents per point, or am I getting like 1 or 1.5 just on like domestic travel?
So I would pretty confidently say no for domestic. I would say maybe the only time if you're able to get domestic is if I guess two ways. One, you just take the average of your international trips and your domestic trips, and then yeah, you would come to 2 cents per point probably, just on the average of the redemptions. I'm trying to think from my own experience. I have transferred some Amex to Delta, and I've flown Delta domestically. However, there is a little bit of a tax for those who don't know. You have to pay a 0.006% excise tax for transferring Amex points to Delta. So just a caveat there. I think the max is like 99 though that they have you pay, which I'd have to do the math on how many points that is real quick. But so and then the majority of my Delta flights are around 1.3 to 1.5 cent per mile. So if you factor in 1.5 cents per mile, maybe if you're also if you have a Delta Gold card and you're getting takeoff 15% rebate on that, maybe you can get close to 2 cents per point. But as far as domestically, unless you're flying a really, I don't know. Otherwise, no, I don't think you're really getting 2 cents per point flying domestically.
Yeah.
Most of that valuation is coming from, like how I did. I transferred to Air France, and then you could book a flight to, Amsterdam or any of these European countries and stuff like that. That's where the true value is, and also that's also so skewed because you actually have to factor in the cost of, like, most people are mentioning this because of business class flights. Some business class flights I found recently where you might consider it 500,000 Amex points, but the flight itself is like $8,000, or more.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
$8,000. So if you do the math on that, it can make sense, or like 10 grand, something like that. So you can get to like those levels, depending on how
Yeah,
many
I was talking about
things.
Spencer about this a little bit, but that's why the reserve can be the Chase Sapphire reserve can be so powerful because you're getting 1.5 on everything.
Yeah. I think if you had a perfect setup, it would be, personally, just for ease of use and just having like an easy time. If there was a way to, I guess that, I guess it's tough because you have so many annual fees that you have to consider as well. But a world to use 1.5 cent per point through the Chase Travel Portal domestically, cool, and then take
Mhm.
all of your Amex points and transfer that out for international travel. I mean, you're good, and that's how I think most people probably should do it. That's kind of what I'm doing personally, in a way. Even the Sapphire Preferred 1.25 is not bad. Like literally a Chase Travel Portal, the Chase Travel Portal with the Sapphire Preferred at 1.25 multiplier. I literally am on par, actually a little bit better than Delta by booking direct with Delta. So like, yeah, domestically use the portal. Even have Sapphire Preferred, you're fine.
Is the
Amex
I don't
points,
have
hold them.
I don't have the Sapphire either of the Sapphire cards yet. I'm looking to add the preferred pretty soon, as soon as they have a elevated offer. But
Hmm.
is it similar to the prices on like Expedia, or if you were to just go online and book something? Because I know Capital, the Venture X, they price match, but I know Chase doesn't. But what does it matter? Is it similar in price?
Let me look one thing up actually before I answer. Because I actually was curious about this. I didn't look at it. Okay, yeah. So yeah. I mean, as far as to your question, I would say fairly similar. I would say the Chase Travel Portal is very similar to an Expedia as far as pricing is concerned. I mean, they're all kind of using third parties to book these
Hmm.
things, third party meaning Expedia and all these different sites. So it's like the pricing is basically the same. The only difference is you can have one up by having that 1.25 or 1.5 multiplier on the preferred or the reserve. So then you end up beating just like cashing out your points and paying for something on Expedia. Um, but it is, yeah, I would say it's comparable. Yeah, I would say it's very on par.
Yeah, I think if you were then talking about using the travel portal on the Sapphire Preferred, then you kind of go into, well, maybe it makes sense to just get a cashback card, like a custom cash, or a card that gives you 5% back on dining, than earning with the, preferred with the 3x category, because then you're just getting 5% cash back and you can just redeem as a statement credit or money into your bank and then use that for travel. You don't have to use points, but
It's
that's a
true.
whole conversation.
I mean, it's true. I mean, just the short of it is like, yeah. I mean, the value in the point systems, and because a lot of these point systems aren't giving you 5x on most categories, is because the potential of points and the ability to take those points and make them more valuable, to multiply them either through the portals or multiply them through transfer partners. And I guess that's like the intrinsic value of a point, is that it has potential to do more than just be cashed out at 1 cent per point. You always have the ability to cash out 1 cent per point, so that 3x on the Sapphire Preferred is actually 3% back cash.
Mhm.
It can be, but it has the ability to be 6 or 9 or what have you. But I think you're right. I think there's a lot of situations where, like, why am I so worried about paying these annual fees to get a little bit of a rebate on my Delta flights, when I could just go to Target and get a Target debit card, which is 5% off, and go buy a $500 Delta gift card at 5% off. I could save 5% on that. It's a good deal, but I think we just consider the points so much more valuable because, well, we don't have to take it out of our own pocket. It doesn't hit our bank account the same is when we're redeeming points as opposed to redeeming a gift card. So, but you're right. I think most people would probably be better off just having basically no annual fee cards except for a real premium one, if that's going to help with like lounge access flying abroad domestically, and then just buying $500 gift cards at 5% for your grocery stores, and what have you. Personally, but obviously, if ways to convert it would be the best bet. I still think the points are more valuable just via the possibilities of what you can do with them, and you can cash them out. Even if not as high as 5.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I think getting like a 3, 4 different cards that give you 5% back on all your biggest spending categories, and then maybe getting like Avenger X, which is essentially 0 effective annual fee. If you want the priority pass lunch, that's not necessarily a bad strategy, but it all depends.
Yeah, definitely. So what do you say, Daniel? Are you getting a platinum card?
I'm gonna get it eventually, if not just for the sign up bonus and to use it for a year. So I'll definitely, like, if I get married in a couple years and I know I have a honeymoon coming up and I want like a really nice flight, maybe a business class flight, some killer hotels, then I'll definitely get the platinum card. Maybe even before that, just to earn the points and experience it. But yeah, this video kind of turned into both of us hating on every Amex card besides the platinum instead of hater versus love. Last question. Have you ever had a problem with people taking your Amex card, like not being accepted?
Oh, my first thought was like robbing me or stealing my card. Not yet. No. Has there ever been a time? Actually, no. There was a time. Oh yeah. What? This just happened yesterday, I think. Wait a second. Hold on. I have to remember. What was I buying? Oh, now I have to remember this. I literally remember punching in the numbers to buy something online, and it said we only accept like Visa or MasterCard. Oh my God, what the hell was that? What the hell did I do yesterday that that I needed to punch numbers in to buy something? I have no idea. So maybe I'll remember it. I don't know, but yeah, that was a time yesterday that I went to buy something and it said only Amex online. I don't know what it was, but it was something. But otherwise, as far as like businesses and stuff, no, I've never really encountered any businesses that didn't accept Amex. I guess aside from like those really in the middle of nowhere areas, possibly, that they want cash for everything, but that's about it, I would say.
Yeah, I've never once had a problem with either that or my Discover card being not accepted. Besides Costco, but that's a Costco Visa thing. I know my roommate, he just got the Amex Gold, and he was talking about how the first 3 places he tried to use it didn't accept it. But I think that's
where are they going?
outlier.
Where are these people going? Yeah,
I don't know.
Hell? These people always say that, but I never hear what stores they're at. But no, I'm just kidding. But I think once we start traveling more internationally, we'll hit those places that don't accept Amex. Probably.
Yeah. One closing thing. I like to say this thing with the Apple Card as well, because whether people will admit it or not, I think the card design plays a big factor, a lot bigger than they would care to recognize. And I say, like, if you didn't get like the cool design with the Centurion Man right there, if it looked like, let's say, the Capital One Quicksilver, it was just a flimsy, disgusting card, would would you really view it the same? You know, would you be defending the green, or I guess the green card is a pretty trash design, but would you be defending the platinum and the gold card as hard as you are, not you specifically, but the person, if it was a disgusting card design, you know?
I would say outside of I would say outside of anything else, the car design is one of the most important things to somebody's setup. No particular reason, but I'm just saying, this happens to be the best shirt on the market. It's no, it's no excuse. No, I'm just kidding. No, I actually do agree. I think for real, like the excitement centered around. It's many years ago at this point, but when the rose gold came out, it's obviously everybody hates it now because it's the worst design ever. But when that came out and it was limited edition, everybody was like, "Oh, I get a rose gold! Like, wow, that's amazing!" And then it was like limited edition, and then they took it away, much like this white gold situation, right? Everybody went hard for the Amex white gold. Myself included, I was excited for it. I was like, "Wow, we finally shifting off Team Classic," and then it dropped in it. It didn't look that great, but it had a lot of excitement around it. And if you go back, nobody, like you said, nobody wants to admit it. I read all those comment sections. I was there. I was front manning it. Everybody and their mother said, "I can't wait for white gold. I can't wait for it. It's going to be awesome." Nobody was talking necessarily. Like it was more comments about the colors of the design than about the hatred of the Duncan credit or the Resi credit, what have you. I mean, it was a lot on both sides, but I think there was more people. In fact, I'll tell you why it was so good. I made the Amex Gold video, like the release. So I actually have perfect evidence for this. The release of the Amex Gold, like I did a video that morning, 5 a.m. I uploaded like 6 a.m., something like that. And it was all the changes, the full breakdown of Resi and all these different things. The views were like 7,000, I think. I got like 7,000 views. Mm-hmm. When I got the card in the mail and I actually said the white gold wasn't worth it on video, and I was in front of Duncan and I showed the white gold design, 15,000 views, double. And the entire video was basically only about the design and comparing it to the classic gold. So that goes to show the design matters 100%, and it's true. Many years ago, if I relate to myself, many years ago, when I was first getting into cards, I remember Graham Stephan holding up his Amex Gold card. I was like, wow, that looks very cool. And I remember getting my card in the Centurion logo and handing it to someone. I was like, this looks like status. Like, this feels like status. I even had a waitress say, "Oh, you got money like that?" Meanwhile, having a card does not mean you have money. But like that's status, man. That does something to you, whether it's warranted or not. You feel good with it. But I haven't felt that with any other card, and there's a reason for that,
Yeah, for me that wore off pretty quickly. Like I got my gold card in the mail for the first time, and I was so pumped. I got like usually I'll just use Apple Pay, but I got like it's probably not around here, but like a little wallet thing on the back of my phone, just because I usually don't carry a wallet. And I was carrying it around with me. Instead of using Apple Pay, I just like pull it out of the physical wallet and freaking slap it down on the Chipotle register. But for me, that went away pretty quickly. Like after 2 months, I'm like, it's like any other card, Yeah. I don't know if you still like using the physical design. I'll pull it out every once in a while, but that bling kind of goes away.
I guess with my whole rampage against Amex the last year, I've transitioned to not use it whatsoever. So I use my Sapphire Preferred for basically everything now, oddly enough, or my Ink Unlimited. But yeah, I hate that luster went away. I hate that allure of the cool card went away. I will say though, I don't know if I could probably pull it out really quickly, but my Lion card, my Lion card actually gets a lot of attention.
Oh, Lion! Oh! Like I was just watching. Brian Jung used to talk about that a lot in his older videos. That's like the custom.
Yeah, the freaking custom card, and they sent me one because of the channel. You could probably get one too if you ask them, but yeah, this was my Amex Gold card, and this was fun. This was fun, especially when you go to like Chinese restaurants. They're like, "Oh, you have the Chinese ready," and then you talk to them, whatever, and they get really excited. But when you drop it, like that's still fun. It's just this card hasn't worked in like a year now, so it's just a.
Could you do that with like a saver card, or does it have to be like one of the Amex cards?
It could be any card. Yeah, it could be basically any card. They just adjust it because I don't know if people noticed, but actually, I just realized I never noticed this. So if you look, certain cards have different chips. So the Amex, the chip right here, you can see has like 4 or maybe 5 different prongs on both sides, kind of like up and down. But if you look at the Amex green, you can see there's only 3. You'd only see there's 3 there. So there's a much smaller chip.
Yeah, it's a
So that
smaller chip.
changes. And each card has has their own, and so they'll change that on Lion's card end, depending,
I
what it
forget
is.
why. This is probably completely wrong, but I want to say because you don't. That's for like tap to pay. Like with the green card, it's probably so thin that you don't need it in there. But maybe that like the tap to pay is inside the chip, and that might be completely wrong. But that's just me
Uh,
theorizing. I don't know.
yeah, I don't actually know why. Maybe that's true. Yeah, maybe that is. It could be. You never know. Yeah, I don't actually know. Hmm.
Yeah, you got any?
Thanks,
I
Kevin.
saw your banner. When I was before this video, it was like you in like a Mr. Beast style like freaking thumbnail where you're like pointing back at like like a Ryan
Yeah.
Trahan. Like I'm gonna stay in this.
Yes.
We're so
Yes.
so. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I've had this goal on the channel for it might be 2 years now, but basically, if I hit 10,000 subscribers, I will stay at the most dangerous hotel in America. I typed in one day the most dangerous hotel in America. I got 2 results. One was in Compton, which my wife said, "No, you're not going there." And 2 was something called the Frying Pan Hotel, and it's right off the coast of Wilmington, North Carolina. I've actually been in that area. I stayed there 5 nights once, and there's a lot of like in the town they know of that tower, and it's like infamous. And it's like a 70 or 50 or 70-year old, like almost like a lighthouse that was converted by this one guy who bought it, and he just upkeeps it, and he's constantly live streaming on it. And yeah, it's the waves can get pretty scary, but it's expensive. It's like $1,500, but you stay there for 3 or 4 nights. They give you food. You take a helicopter to get there. You can do skeet shooting off the side. And I'm very scared now that I'm approaching 10K, because I made this goal when I was at like 2 or 3. So now that I'm approaching, I'm getting a little bit scared. And I'm like, I don't really want to do this, guys. Let's call it off. But yeah, I've had that there for a while. I have another goal in mind after we hit that, which will be fun. But yeah, that's what that is. And yeah, I'm very scared, to be honest.
That'll be a fun video.
But no, thank you for having me on, man. I appreciate you. Nice to meet you, fellow credit carder in the space. And you're going to keep growing. You're going to do very well. You're already doing very well. So just keep going with it, and you'll do very well long term for sure.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.